interest expense on the cash flow statement. That's what we're going to discuss here. If you get a question on the CMA that asks you about interest income or interest expense, where does that show up on the cash flow statement? Is it operating, financing, or investing activity? It's going to be an operating activity. Why? Because FASB 95 says it's an operating activity. Now this is confusing a bit because think of the bank loan that generates that interest expense, for example. When you get a bank loan, right, that cash inflow is a financing activity. So you might think, well, let's put the expense associated with that bank loan also as a financing activity. Makes sense. People made that argument to the FASB, but it didn't win over. Similarly with interest income, if I buy a bond as an investment, that's going to show up as an investment activity, right? That cash outflow will be in the investing section, right? So why not also then include the interest income that I get from that bond in the investment section? Again, that makes sense, right? But that argument did not win out with the FASB. The argument for including it in the operating section is that because interest income and interest expense, are in net income, that's why we're going to include it up there, because remember, cash flow from operations starts with net income. We make adjustments from there to get to the cash flow from operations under the indirect method. So that's why it's included in the operating section. Again, a bit tricky. So just remember, interest income and interest expense are going to relate to the operating section of the cash flow statement. Now, just as an aside, FYI, any interest that's paid, right, is going to be reported in a separate supplemental schedule so that investors can analyze that additional information for the company.